So in the first instance, the natural plantings of trees is the best first point of call as far as the design and the setup of that farming system and incorporating more trees into that system. And it's been shown that not only does it help the livestock in their health, but also a lot of the other plant type growth. As long as grasses, for example, get sufficient sun and the trees aren't excessively shading those pastures, the trees will derive lots of benefit to the productivity of those pastures. But so some of the shade in summer can help increase the productivity of the grasses, but the trees also act as a reservoir of holding in nutrients and water and building up the soil biology, and the flow-on effect of all of that into the pasture system also increases the productivity of the herbs and grasses within that system too. So it helps prevent the pastures drying up in summer, becoming too waterlogged in winter, because of the increase in soil humus and soil biology that the trees incorporate and help develop more resiliency within that system. In winter, as well as natural plantings, it also pays to have some artificial shelter. So you can do that in a variety of ways. One of the ways I quite like is having a small area which you heavily mulch and has a covered shed pen area associated with it that the livestock can shelter within and be protected from the winter weather and be kept warm, particularly at night time, to avoid excess loss of condition, to try to maintain body weight and heat during those times of the year. But and you feed them out silage and straw or nuts or whatever you're going to maintain their condition with. And as they produce manures into that mulch, by the end of the winter, as long as your mulch layer is big enough and they don't trample that into the mud and make it too muddy, so you need quite a deep layer of mulch. But once the manures are incorporated into that and they're broken down over winter, instead of having a paddock that's been damaged by having livestock on that paddock and pugging it and compressing it and making it waterlogged and damaging the growth of the pasture grasses and herbs, by keeping them in that mulched area, you've got an actual asset for your farm production. So that manured mulch can then be spread around orchard trees or even long production annual vegetables they can be used for, or they're probably the best two uses, but it becomes an asset for the production on the farm instead of a detrimental impact from having them overwintered actually on the paddock itself. And not only is it producing an asset, but the stock are going to be in a lot better health by being overwintered within that protected environment than out facing the full brunt of the elements out in the pasture. So it has that benefit. And then the pasture system can then recover during that winter month, and you can maintain a good layer of herb growth and grass growth at the end of autumn, and then just leave that as a cover and a protection to the soil over winter, so that come spring you've got a fresh new growth of productivity within that system, and the productivity is going to be increased because it hasn't been damaged over winter. So it's going to recover faster, it's going to be more productive and derive more benefit to the feed of the livestock once you move them into that system than if you had kept them in over winter, where the grasses and the herbs are going to be severely impacted and damaged, and their recovery and their regrowth in spring is going to be a lot slower, and it's not going to be as healthy and it's not going to be as diverse, and therefore it's not going to offer as much value as a food to the livestock that you move into that system. Whereas if you had kept the livestock off that paddock pasture and winter, the value of food from that pasture system is going to be a lot greater by keeping them off it. So you're actually increasing the food value and the food benefit that you derive from that pasture by keeping them off it in winter.